Armored Core 6. The best action game to be released in recent years somehow has found its way into my heart. But how did that even happen? We got to go back to June 2023. I was unaware of what FromSoft has been up to after Elden Ring. Then one of my friends started posting about the upcoming release of Armored Core 6. I was curious about what Armored Core 6 was, so I instantly clicked on it and checked it out. It was the official gameplay trailer for AC6. It looked cool and oddly familiar. So I tried finding out more about it. Then I found Vatividia's 90-minute long video covering the series' legacy, outlining every game that came before AC6. After watching it, although hyped for Armored Core, I've realized that I wanted to go in fresh, so I stayed away from playing any of the previous titles. August 25th finally happens. I launch the game, type in my pilot name, and load into the first mission.
We're close to Rubicon. Wake the dog up.
A deep voice starts talking. Handler Walter is the name of the man speaking. Who is this handler, what is this planet, and who is this old man calling a dog? The carrier unloads the container. Unfortunately, it soon gets shot by a watchful eye. Breaking a hole through a roof, the AC crash landed in Grid 135 on Rubicon 3. The colors are unsettling, cold and bleak, greenish, silver, and black, setting the tone for what's to come.
Descent to ISB 2262, Rubicon 3, complete. Main system activating combat mode.
Finally, I get to control the AC. This is the moment I've been waiting for all this time. The controls felt intuitive and quite easy to get used to, so I make my way higher up through a little alleyway. There I meet my first enemies. They're called muscle tracers, or MTs for short. I make quick work of them with my assault rifle, shoulder rockets, and pulse blade. As I got more familiar with the control scheme of the AC, I got more proficient at becoming a bona fide killing machine. After blasting through every barrage of MTs, I make my way further into the level, finally reaching the catapult. This is where the game starts to take shape. The stakes get set by Walter mentioning that getting my hands on the coral, I can make a killing, and I'm going to be able to buy my life back.
If we get our hands on Rubicon's coral, we'll make a killing. Plenty for a merc with a fried brain like you to buy their life back.
What is coral and why is my brain fried? With these questions in mind, I head on further into the game.
Enough chat, back to work.
After landing at the edge of a cliff, I have to fight through a group of MTs. I then make my way down into a desolate city. I'm in the city looking for a valid license, as being an illegal doesn't fly in Rubicon 3. The Planetary Closure Administration, one of the many factions on Rubicon, will make sure to escort anyone should they be a pilot without a license. Therefore, I have to look for a valid license to take on jobs as a mercenary. However, the last license I take seems to be valid, but it also brings trouble, as an attack chopper makes its way to me. This is the boss of the first mission. Just using the assault rifle or shoulder rockets won't cut it. Luckily, in my first playthrough, I quickly figured out that using the pulse blade is the way to defeat the attack chopper. The joy and satisfaction I felt beating this behemoth of a chopper was unmatched. There it is, the FromSoft magic. Progressing through Chapter 1, I reached the watch point, and it was time to face a strong AC pilot. The pilot in question is C-1249 Sula, a coral-augmented mercenary. He tells Walter to stay away from the watch point. Having no other choice, I engage in a fight. This battle is definitely not the easiest one the first time around. Sula uses a pulse blaster on one arm and the bazooka on the other. And if you're not careful, you can get staggered quite quickly. After defeating Sula, I make my way into the watchpoint's core, destroying the watchpoint's sensor valve. Destroying the watchpoint's sensor valve brings about a coral surge in which I get swept up in, losing my consciousness in the process.
621, get out of there!
Have we made contact? I am Air, a Rubiconian. Please, you must wake up.
Suddenly, I hear a female voice. I seem to have made contact with someone called Air. However, there's not much time for further explanations, as we have to face Balteus, the final boss of Chapter 1.
Maintain contact to support you.
Making quick work of me, I had to repeat this boss fight a couple times the first time around. I seem to have forgotten about using my pulse blade, as I was too busy getting tilted at the boss. Finally, I realized that using my pulse blade was the way to go, because Balteus' pulse shield is weak to pulse weapons. Also, learning how to evade his flamethrower attacks in the second phase of the fight was crucial. Finally, I was able to beat Balteus. Beating this boss, I felt the same FromSoft magic again. This time, however, it was even stronger. The slow-mo and eye-candy effects upon defeating the boss are the cherry on top. And there I was, mastering the game's mechanics. I was having the time of my life. One of AC6's strong suits is its gameplay loop. You pick a mission, listen to a briefing, and get dropped right into the action. From eliminating a couple MTs or defeating even multiple ACs, it's always fun. In today's era of video games, I especially appreciate AC6's simple gameplay loop, as early in 2023, I got tired of open-world games after finishing Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. AC6 just gives me the freedom to drop in for a mission or two and close the game. I have quick access to fun without any boring fetch questing, grinding, and what have you. With the preface out of the way, I can now talk about how the game truly started opening up to me. Having access to the arena, I blasted my way through the available opponents. Upon finishing each chapter, you gain access to even more arena opponents and customizable parts. You can also look for hidden parts stashed away in some levels, or defeat certain opponents, increasing your hunter's rank, which also grants you access to more parts. This is a little detail that adds just enough to reward exploration. Of course, I wanted more parts for my AC, so after finishing the first 2 chapters, I went on a scavenger hunt looking for hidden parts as well as destroying special targets. When it comes to building your AC, the legs are the most important part of your AC. They determine how much weight you can put on. Different legs also provide a different feel to your AC. Spring legs let you jump higher without using the boosters. Quadruped legs allow you to stay afloat, and tank legs allow you to be a literal tank. Playing as a tank comes with its own quirks, from your mobility being impaired to being locked to its own boosters and overall higher energy consumption. However, the average tank build usually has a lot of health and better attitude stability, aka stagger resistance. So constantly evading attacks isn't all too important. The quadruped legs follow a similar design philosophy. Every build provides a unique experience, and when done right, leads to an unprecedented feel of control. Furthermore, defeating opponents in the arena unlocks OS chips. These chips enable you to enhance your AC, whether it be more health gained by using a repair kit, or gaining access to new offensive or defensive tools. Due to the build variety this game provides, it took me some time until I found my niche. However, I'm a fiend for advanced movement techniques, so once I found out about the melee quick boost cancel, I went into the assembly and got to building. The melee quick boost cancel involves using your melee weapon and quick boosting right after. Repeating this tech lets you boost towards the target and hit them with your melee weapon in a quick fashion. It works best with specific boosters which have the highest melee attack thrust stat. Changing your AC parts isn't the only thing you can customize. You can also individually change the color of your AC parts, as well as creating your own decals. Some extra details I want to mention are that 1. You can watch videos in-game on what certain AC parts do before buying them, and you can also deploy your AC on a test run, in which you can customize your AC on the go. Both features allow you to efficiently tune your AC to your liking, and practicing the game's mechanics outside of combat while also being able to customize my AC at the same time was a heaven sent for me. That way, the seemingly daunting task of building my AC became so much easier. This part alone got me hooked on AC6 till this day. When I was recording footage for this video, I tried out different builds to refresh my memory, and I got pulled back into the game again to the point where I defeated one single boss with 5 different builds. The in-depth customization of AC6 allows you to express yourself in ways I miss in modern-day games. However, there are more aspects as to why I think Armored Core 6 is an amazing game. While customizing the AC is an integral part of the AC series, I think that the most important aspect that brings everything together is the exhilarating action.
A response. It's a sea weapon.
The Ibis series, still functional.
When talking about the action though, the fight against IB-01 in Chapter 4 is one I remember very fondly. This boss has a lot of tricks up its sleeve, from coral-powered drones that surround you to insane evasive maneuvers that will nullify any of your attacks. Timing with this boss is key, knowing when to evade and when to fully engage. So depending on your build, you have to be extra careful in order not to get comboed to death. Because no matter how good your equipment is, being careless will lead to your demise. IB-01 always keeps me on my toes throughout the entire fight, providing an excellent action experience. Yet again, redoing this fight made me fall in love with the game once more. This game really just gets better the more I play it. Overall, the action in AC6 always delivers. From challenging boss fights to AC versus AC battles with fast-paced maneuvers, you're always in for some incredibly satisfying action. However, this video wouldn't be complete if I wasn't talking about another aspect that has kept me coming back to this game time and time again. And that is the game's overall setting, from its moral implications to its aesthetics. Armored Core 6 is set in a dystopian and desolate future, where corporations desperately fight for every piece of the cake they can get by employing augmented humans and armored cores to settle their conflict. There are two key military corporations called Arquebus and Balaam, as well as governmental organizations such as the PCA. There are also non-governmental guerrilla factions such as the Rubicon Liberation Front. I won't go into too much detail, but all these factions have different motives for why they're on Rubicon, and all of those factions stand in conflict with one another. What shocked me the first time around is that nobody seems to care who fulfills the request of either group, as long as it gets done. You and Walter take on jobs from Arquebus to hamper the progress of the RLF, and just a few missions later, you do a job for the RLF. On Rubicon, there's no loyalty to anyone but yourself. In every level, there's always conflict. Always someone trying to protect what they have, or someone else trying to take it away. This desperation, greed, and ruthlessness is perfectly represented by the circumstances in which this conflict is taking place in. Destroyed grids, brutalist structures, and adversaries everywhere. The very first time you land on Rubicon, you land in a cold, bleak, and desolate place in Grid 135. Blue, greenish, black, and silver are the colors you see, invoking a sense of dread and a lack of soul, as this planet has lost its soul many years ago when it was scorched in the Fires of Ibis, only to be picked back up by the corporations for scavenging the planet's resources. It's as dystopian as it gets. This conflict lends itself to impressive level design represented by brutalist architecture and a heavily mechanized world, as well as grandiose battles and spectacular bosses being topped off with eye-candy visuals. Armored Core 6 features many brutalist structures, from its massive grids to the cargo launcher. However, the epitome of the brutalist design in AC6 is the vascular plant. It's a massive plant siphoning Rubicon's coral, which is a substance of many uses, from being a data conduit to being a reliable energy source. Before the Fires of Ibis scorched the stars, it was built to siphon coral in order to have scientists research the substance. This plant is the single biggest structure on Rubicon, almost reaching outside of its atmosphere into outer space. The vascular plant always puts me in awe, making me feel like a tiny ant, which I think is to an extent the purpose of its massive design. I also kept asking myself how the f did they manage to build this massive thing? And how long did this even take? When it comes to grandiose battles, the battle against the Red Guns is by far my favorite. Without going into too much detail, further into the game you have to make a choice between fighting against the Red Guns or intercepting ACs of another faction. While being a thorough challenge involving resource management and precise movement, it's also one of the most rewarding challenges in the game. The choice of the right build is key here, as my first time around, I either ran low on ammunition or I didn't have enough firepower to finish off the job before running out of health. One boss that perfectly represents Rubicon's brutal and mechanized visual design is the Sea Spider, an ancient weapon from before the Fires of Ibis. While it's very tall, it's also very agile. It may not be the biggest boss in a game, but it's still very impressive in its size. This boss is a very challenging one. In its first phase, it shoots out homing coral rockets, a laser at the top of its core, as well as lunging at you with its 2 forelegs. Dodging this attack in particular requires some ingenuity, so understanding the clear weaknesses of each boss is crucial in AC6, but it's also very rewarding. Armored Core 6 is by far one of my favorite action games, let alone one of my favorite games of all time. From the very first time of being able to control the AC, I fell in love. Something about it is just magic. When I recorded B-roll for the video, I got to take in the sights once more, and I just can't get enough. I have so many screenshots of different places saved, hell, even my desktop background features one of them. AC6's very familiar aesthetic, the intriguing story, and incredible action just make me come back every once in a while. This game just has so much to offer, it's always worth a revisit. I don't really know what else to say, just get the game or revisit it. It'll be worth your time. Thank you for watching, this was Fab, and see you on the next one.